The Far Cry series reminds me of a playground, but with that comes its limitations. For starters, playgrounds need to be maintained and updated to stay appealing, and that's where the series has tripped up for me in recent entries. So the gameplay relied heavily on reused ideas from when Far Cry was good, and it forgot to take chances on making it better. After playing many hours of Far Cry 6, I'm glad to finally have a brand new playground to explore.
I said, are you the only survivor?
Sí.
Lucky.
Far Cry 6 doesn't overlook its narrative. Instead, the entire structure of gameplay is built on it. Players assume the role of Dani Rojas, a character who can be either male or female, who has just found themselves face to face with the dictator of Yara, Anton Castillo. In an attempt to escape, Dani loses her only friends and washes ashore what will soon be her fate as a member of the Guerrilla Revolution to liberate Yara. Dani is ex-military, and I played as a female, so I'll refer to her as such from now on. She is full of clever retorts and ideas to be a valuable member of this group. She understands the need for it, but does push back when she feels like she is being used or treated poorly. The story's writing doesn't limit the protagonist to any empty shells. Dani is full of emotion and personality that makes her actions believable. The supporting cast of the Guerrilla Revolutionists is just as complex, if not more so, as Dani must unite them to take down Antion and free these people. Standout story moments aren't exclusive to cinematic scenes. Character dialogue between missions and over the radio is essential to provide a powerful message of overcoming tyranny. One interesting bit of lore is how the people were the ones to elect Antion in the first place, and what his message of supporting Yara was during that campaign. Antion isn't left to being a mere antagonist you defeat at the end of the game either. It seems like everywhere you go, you hear his voice on the speakers or television. He's everywhere, and his web of followers is just as vast. The story of him and his son Diago is also vital to the narrative, and one that I'd hate to spoil for those looking forward to these standout narrative performances. Far Cry is known for its in-game maps filled with treasure and loot, making it difficult to complete missions because of a crate just off the road. That returns in some ways here, but players have more of a direct impact on the details. Often the best points of interest are provided through interacting with Guerrilla members or reading notes. It makes treasure hunts and enemy stronghold takeovers more rewarding because you earned the intel through gameplay. There's no real shortage of things to do either. You can fish, hunt, spray paint over propaganda, or just go for a nice horseback ride. As hard as it is sometimes to keep focused on missions, I enjoyed my time simply exploring and making my own discoveries in this huge environment. Honestly, I can't begin to explain how significant this map is, and it just keeps growing. You'll have a base in these areas that you can customize and upgrade for additional bonuses. This requires materials found in the environment, but nothing is too difficult to come by as long as you spend a little time collecting resources. However, it's not completely necessary unless it's story-based, and even weapon customization is up to you. The regions are distinct with their own architecture and negative effects caused by the government. There's a root cause of the issue which will need to be handled before moving on, but that comes after gaining the trust of the other Guerrilla members. Missions are fun and vary enough not to become repetitive. I noticed that there is less handholding in some missions that simply give you the area where you'll need to find intel or blow something up. The missions become more complex in later environments too, especially once you get to the city. A lot of your time will be spent fighting, and the developers have created some great ways to take on combat. Weapons are just as insane in this game, and some are entirely customizable with new bullet types, scopes, and silencers to equip. It's not overwhelming and only requires some materials, but it isn't necessary if you simply enjoy breaking down the door and rushing in. The stealth mechanics are present, but I feel like I cheese through many battles by sniping enemies from a distance without alerting them. Enemies are dumb, but they have their moments of power. I'd say more often than not, they will do some ridiculous stuff that acts in your favor. In a group, they can be deadly, but expect moments of seeing them acting oddly in a way that most Ubisoft enemies do. If you make enough noise, powerful soldiers appear, along with their helicopters and tanks. This creates moments back to the playground where you get to dive into your equipment and utilize everything you've got, including the most remarkable piece of tech, the Supremo. This backpack acts as a loadout and can be switched out at any point. It's on a charge and capable of doing things like EMP blasts that can take down helicopters and missile strikes that hone in on enemies. It's basically a lifesaver. Far Cry 6 has plenty of glitches and environmental oddities that occur during gameplay. It's more visual though, so don't expect it to affect the experience too much. It's clear that updates will surely be on the way. Also, frame dips only seem to occur during cinematic scenes, which I found strange. Still, the developers have done some really cool things with the experience, such as having Danny sing to a song on the radio or add an amigo to your party who can be commanded to distract an enemy while you flank. It's this open world where you can really push the gaming freedom that I felt the series needed. Far Cry 6 brings us back to the playground as you're encouraged to enjoy the game however you want. Those here for the story will witness some brilliant performances from the cast that weaves in the guerrilla approach to combat and overthrowing a dictator. On the other hand, this is one of the most diverse in-game environments that I have seen from this developer, with plenty of high action and optional means of losing yourself in this intense experience. Noisy Pixel is giving Far Cry 6 an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.